Ya. After going down early, it was the king of Mancos that helped us out and bailed us out. That and much more in another night, another podcast.
Hasta que no estás aquí dentro no sabes la grandeza de este equipo.
Quero o Benfica intimidar o adversário. Quero o manto sagrado entrar com vocês em qualquer estádio e assustá-los, pá! É isso que eu quero!
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Talking to the Law Benfica podcast. My name is Alfredo Fumaças. With me, as always, Cristiano Oliveira. What's happening, Cristiano?
I don't know, Freddie. I'm a little bit concerned here, man.
Concerned?
A little bit concerned because I'm gonna start getting. You're gonna start getting accused of having me rub off on you a little bit. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden you're talking this Manco stuff.
I think we all agree.
I don't know. I don't want this to rub off on you. I don't want to be a bad influence. You know what I'm saying? But hello, Freddies. What's going on, everybody? Remember to smash the like button. And thank you for joining us here on the Benfica podcast on this beautiful Wednesday night.
With us as well, somebody that also thinks Ivanovic is the king of Mancos, Dave de Oliveira. What's happening, Dave?
What's going on, Alfredo? A Manco King. We haven't had a Manco King in a while.
I don't know, Dave. Real quick, Alfredo just said that you will agree, whatever, with them. And the question I had, like, do you agree that much that you went out and bought an Ivanovic shirt?
No. Okay. Absolutely not. He's still got a ways to go, but I did message Chris right after the game and said his boy's finally showing up. So I think Chris is going to be the one to get an Ivanovic kit before I do.
Guys, there's a difference, right? There's the king of Mancos and there's the Manco king, right? There's two. Let's differentiate there. You guys know the difference, right? So the king of Mancos and the Manco king, right?
Yeah, I understood. I got both, but what's the difference? One is peasy and one is. But I don't think Ivanovic. I don't think Ivanovic has done enough to be crowned any type of king yet. Now, did he show up the other day?
He's winning the competition so far. If we had a king of Mancos competition or the Manco king.
No, I don't think he's winning the competition.
Who's winning the competition, Cristiano? Who do you think?
There's 25 guys on the roster. Shit, I can name you another 23 or 24. I don't know. I can name you a whole lot of Mancos on this team. But that's neither here nor there. We're not here to talk about Mancos. Look, to his credit, he showed up when he needed to. And as I often say here on this podcast, I love eating crow, and especially when the crow tastes like Benfica. I love it. I love to be proved wrong, and I hope he scores many more. Obviously, it's late in the season. And like some would say, better late than ever.
Yeah.
And so credit to him for staying ready. We'll get into that, break down the game a little bit. But I don't know if Dave wants to make this a quick one or not today. So I gotta watch what I say.
Alfredo, just note it for the end of the year. That'll be an award we can hand out the Manco, who we think the Manco King is at the end of the year.
It'll be awarded by Cristiano because he's got another 23 guys that he could put on there. So Cristiano will have the honor of giving away that award.
If he's got 23 guys, he's got to make a short list. He's got
the king of Mancos.
The nominees are, and then we have a list narrow it down to 5, and then we have the big reveal at the finale.
Yeah. Well, Cristiano tear into an envelope, just like at the Oscars, and the king of Mancos award goes to.
Yeah. Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please.
I mean, the good thing is, guys, that you only have about 8 more weeks.
Eight more weeks.
At least eight
more games because we got international week, right?
Yeah. Okay. So you have 8 more games to go until we find out who the Chicken Fingers Award goes to, and at least that's a positive one, right? Because you guys just love to tie me in with negative stuff. So, because like that, if somebody gets little chapada, so the Manco, what's the Manco King? Okay, the King's a Manco or Manco King,
Yeah.
whatever, whichever award.
Cristiano, we'll also have an award for the worst worst pitch
Then you're
drainage
definitely getting
system.
him in trouble.
No, no, Dave. Actually, there's a lot of competition this year. There's been a lot of competition so far.
So more
I just
people can
wanted.
piss off.
Yes,
I
yes.
wanted.
Now different regions.
Yeah, right. I wanted to save you some skin, Cristiano. You had to make up for it.
No, I don't, I'm good. We'll see. I mean, listen, there's still no. The rainy season's past. It's gone in Portugal, right?
Yeah.
Maybe in a twist of fate, the Astorians are gonna be pissed off that they didn't win the award this year if they don't win the best or worst drainage award of the year. So that's a
No,
hard hard award to hand out there.
Off the top of my head, I think the worst pitch we played on this year. Um, excuse me. The worst pitch we played on this year might have been.
Santa
It's
Clara was pretty bad.
no Casa Pia. Casa Pia.
There was one we dropped points to not
Yes.
too recently ago.
No,
Tondela. Tondela.
Yeah,
is your-
but Tondela was more of a drainage system. It wasn't the field itself. Like the field held up actually, right? I'm talking about at least there was a reason for it breaking down and whatnot, right? Coming apart. But if I recall, it was either Amadora or Casa Pia. That pitch was just coming apart. That shit looked like what we call campo batatas.
Yeah.
we did drop points there 2-2 to Casapia, so that could have been it.
So if we again when we have a field that is atrocious due to rain, right? That's a drainage problem,
Yeah.
right? And then you have a field that just falls apart with guys just regular running back and forth on it without torrential rain, right? There's a tiebreaker in there. So, you might get the award for the worst drainage system. Yes, fact. But in terms of field, if
Worst
there's not-
maintained.
Yes, yeah. If it's not raining like crazy and the field's just coming apart, I think you take the cake here. I think you
Yeah.
win. So
Yeah. But on tonight's podcast, 587, we'll recap the Arouca game, and we'll look ahead to Vitória de Guimarães, which comes to Estádio Luz this upcoming Saturday. So let's get right into this Arouca game. I'll give you the lineup. Trubin was in goal. Ba, Araújo, Silva, and Dal. Of course, Otamendi was he hurt? Was he hurt or was he serving suspension? I forget. Hurt, right? Rio was in Barreiro in the middle. Luque Bacchio on one side, Sheldrup on the other. Rafa underneath Pavlidis is how we lined up. And we went down early. Handball by Antonio Silva, which, you look at those things, and obviously when we see it for us, we like it called. So I don't think I had a problem, or I didn't have a problem with it being called against us. But certainly it's a very close play, right? It's like close range. I don't think the ball has any power. The ball was going to the ground. I don't think it was going to give any issues to Trubin. And the referee goes to VAR and calls a penalty on Antonio Silva, which now it kind of seems that every time players are going to jump for a ball, they got to be cognizant of where they have their arms. Maybe they got to jump up like penguins. I mean, it's already bad if they go for...
You didn't think that was a penalty?
I thought there was a penalty, but it could have also gone the other way. We've seen it.
I've seen it. That's what I was going to say. I think it was, by the letter of the law, it is a penalty, but I've definitely seen it not called because you can make the excuse that it's a split-second judgment. One, it's a judgment call, and two, there's no intent. But the rule says that it's not based on intent or not intent. But I thought we were a little bit hard done by, just given the amount of times that I've seen that not called with the excuse saying that it's a split second and he doesn't really have
If you want to tell me that the criterio changes from game to game, I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
Okay. That I totally agree. And if you want to go by in this game, they didn't call it, why they call it? Look, I understand where you're coming from, but I think that is asinine. I think that is irresponsible on our part. I think that is irresponsible on anyone really listening. I understand the argument, but just because they were wrong before doesn't mean they should continue to be wrong. In my opinion, as you guys know where I stand on this, right? Handballs in the box is a penalty. End of story. I don't want to hear. And to me, that was as clear as day for me. I didn't have to go to replay. I watched it live. My cousin was with me. He's my witness, and I'm sitting there with him, and I'm like, "Yo, that's a penalty." He's like, "What are you talking about? It's a corner." I'm like, "That's a watch. They're gonna go to a replay. That's a penalty." And then when they showed, I was like, "I told you." To me, it's again. I get the whole point of where's he gonna put the arm. I understand it, but look, at the end of the day, if the ball doesn't hit his arm, it goes on goal. And with the way Trubin dives lately, we don't know if it's a goal or not. So,
good point,
so,
Cristiano. Good, that's a great
so,
point,
like,
brother.
so it stops the ball from going on goal, guys. And whether there's intention or no intention, I'm sorry. That's a penalty all day, every day. And again, and to finish it off, the question I have for you and the Freddies, Carlos, what's up, buddy? And the Freddies in the chat and everyone listening, it's a very simple question. Picture it being on the opposite box, right? That hitting a Arouca defender's arm in the same manner that it hit Antonio Silva.
Yeah.
Would you feel like robbed if it wasn't called a penalty? And that's it. And that's your answer. That's how you know it's a penalty. Because you know very well. Had it happened on the other side, you would have been livid. So
And that's what I was saying, that if it was for us, we certainly would have wanted it. I just, the criteria is the criteria, and like Dave says, by the letter of the law, it is a penalty. But it's like Silva jumps, and now, in the same way they go for tackles on, for crosses, they put their arms underneath or behind their back. So if the guy that's crossing doesn't hit on their arms, now you got to go up. You got to be cognizant of where your arms are going to be. But I think it's a very close range play, and it's tough. And I don't think that the ball was going to be dangerous for Trubin, regardless of how he's been doing. But I accept that. I know it's irrelevant, but I accept that it was called a penalty. But I don't know if that gets called in England, to be honest with you. And Carlos is saying that shit is only a penalty against Benfica or whoever is playing Sporting or Porto.
Yeah, listen. Like I said before, that's fair. We could all come with that theory and that thought process. And Carlos actually makes a good point. I said to you guys to picture it, and he goes, "I pictured it. VAR didn't even check it," which is hilarious. Good job. But listen, at the end of the day, was there intent? No. Was it a penalty? Yes. I don't care. In England, they would have called it. I don't care where it's at. His arm is outstretched. The ball hits him in the arm. Doesn't go on goal. I mean, I don't even think there's an argument in this one. I think you could argue about the one, what was it, last year or this year against Casapia at home, where the ball deflects off his knee, hits his arm. That you could argue. This was, to me, it's not an argument, man. To me, this is clear as clear can be. And look, it went against our team. Luckily, we had the ace in the pocket to use later on in the game. But it is what it is. It's a penalty, and we just want it to be called fairly when it happens on the other side as well. So I think that's mostly everybody's frustration, is that, it's like Carlos said, it doesn't get called for us, for us, I should say, and I get it, and I totally understand, but two wrongs don't make it right, man. So
so that was in the 7th minute, and then Benfica tried to claw the result back, but in the first half it was a lot of ball possession, but not a lot of chance creation by Benfica. A lot of side to side and just lots of touches. I think we had a crazy amount of corners. We had finished the game with like 17 corners or something like that. And that's the other thing, right? If you have that many corners, I know we scored a goal off of a corner, right? And for example, Mourinho had Luka Bakiu taking corners the whole first half and poorly taking corners. And then the second half, he changes his shell group. And on the first corner that we have, Rio scores off a corner.
Not
But the
true.
point,
Alfredo, Sheldrup had taken a bunch of them before. I complained. I was complaining because they were barely beating the first man. Sheldrup it wasn't his first corner. He had taken. The one part I don't understand is, if you guys recall last season when uh Sebastian Dahl, right? Is his first name Sebastian? I don't even know his name.
Samuel.
Sam is close. Starts with A. Sam Dahl, when he joined, he was taking all the corner kicks. You guys recall?
yeah,
He was doing it for
yeah.
fan. Why stop? I mean, you see all these guys taking corner kicks, and I think that was the first good cross from Sheldrup on. That must have been his fifth to sixth corner, Alfredo. It wasn't. They ain't changed to him, and all of a
I
sudden,
saw somebody
he had-
making a point in the first half that there was a lot of Luka Baku, unless they were on the side that
on
Luka
the
Baku was
opposite
assigned
side.
to.
On the opposite side, yes, because Benfica likes in swinging process. So on the right side it was Luka Baga. On the left side it was Sheldrup, because I made that point countless times. Like, yo, dude, how hard is it to beat the first guy? You know what I mean? And I don't know if they're playing the ball near post or whatever. That's the instruction or whatnot. But it's not been good. Benfica's not been this
Yeah.
season in set pieces and corners. Last year, I believe Benfica. Dave will know the stats better. They scored like 7 or 8 goals off of corner kicks. This year, not so much. And I think a lot of it has to do with the service into the box.
Yeah, yeah, and look, when you have that many corners, you got to be able to put them away. I mean, and we see Arsenal is a classic example of how they're so lethal in dead ball situations. And I think that when team gives us corners, we gotta be able to put them away. It's like I don't know if you guys, Cristiano definitely remembers that teams used to love fouling Shaq. Because
Oh, for sure.
Shaq at the foul line, he was awful. And if Benfica fails to punish these teams in dead ball situations, it really becomes difficult. It really becomes difficult for Benfica to get anything going. But yeah, it was difficult getting anything going in the first half. So like I said, a lot of possession, but not a lot of meaningful created chances. As a matter of fact, I think that that Arouca finishes the game with more shots on goal than we did. They certainly finished up with more expected goals than we did from the stats that I was looking at.
If you go just in the first half, they should have been up 3-1. Just in the first half alone.
Right.
We had the only chance we really created was that header from Ba. That, I don't know, he headed it wide by himself in the off a corner or whatever. It was off a might have been off a corner. Oh no, it might have been off a cross. Might have been off a Dedic cross. And he headers it wide. And then they did the same exact play. They headed it wide. There was obviously the goal, and there was another save or something. I forget what the other chance was, but I recall going into halftime, like, Benfica is really lucky not to be down 3-1 at that point, if you consider the bot chance.
Yeah. So into the locker room we went. Came out of the locker room and not much better. We did get the goal off of the set piece in the 51st minute. Rios got on the end of a Sheldrup corner. Then Mourinho wasn't too happy. In the 73rd minute, he made 4 substitutions in the 73rd minute. I don't think I've ever seen Mourinho make 4 substitutions, at least not at Benfica.
Are we giving giving Mourinho credit because he wasn't even technically there with the suspension?
Dave, come on, Dave. Come on,
I
Dave.
thought that was only for Sergio Conceição to serve the suspension inside the stadium and still give the
these days with the technology that exists, I'm sure that Mourinho is communicating with somebody. Might not be directly with Radião.
I heard it over there in Arouca. They had one of those, what do you call it, zappers, whatever it's called.
Oh, like the jammers?
Yeah,
the jammers jammed up the signal?
They had the jammers, bro. And they kept checking all the laundry baskets. I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, you're talking about a club. You're talking about a club that, according to people that were there, and you read on Twitter and social media, that was not calling Benfica by its name at halftime. They were calling Os Visitantes. So they were checking baskets. They were checking laundry baskets. They had the jammers up. I would not be surprised if
maybe he's sending messages through WhatsApp. I don't know.
Could have been. Yeah, I mean, it's a trace, right? WhatsApp, all that stuff. That's
you gotta go on Signal.
Signal, it's Telegram.
Carlos is asking, is there a published stat on the average height of the teams? I'm pretty sure we're in the bottom half. I think I may have seen that. Maybe that's a Football Manager. But I may have seen that stat. See if on 0-0 that stat exists, Dave. I think it might exist. But yeah, Carlos Amaro just said that. Diogo Reis says, who's taking bets on Ivanovic being our starting striker next season? Give me the odds. LOL. Cristiano, what are the odds?
I think the odds are closer to him leaving than they are to him staying, let alone starting.
I tend to agree with that.
I really do think if Mourinho stays, yeah,
There's-
Ivanovic will find a hard time.
And there's a narrative. There's currently a narrative of people questioning whether Ivanovic should be starting ahead of Pavlidis, with Pavlidis going through such a bad run of form.
I mean, at this point, what do you got to lose, right? At this point, the way Pavlidis, honestly, and I don't mean that in a bad way, honestly. Look, Pavlidis has been a shell of himself. Pavlidis has not been close to the level of the player that we expected in that, especially the player we saw last year and the one we expected to take the next step this year. He has not been anywhere near. So, if that's the case, what do you have? What are you losing by playing Ivanovic? I mean, try it out. The one thing about Ivanovic, right? I don't think he has any type of technical ability or whatnot, but the guy does work hard. You know what I'm saying?
He does.
He is a guy that is a workhorse. And so Mourinho and any coach in today's day and age likes players that work all day and whatever. And he does that. And right now we've seen what looks like a tired Pavlidis, a player that is not pressing the way he was, that's not making the runs he was. And so therefore, I mean, what's the harm in playing Pavlidis? You know what I'm saying? I mean, yeah, exactly. Just do it.
It's funny because João Tomás was commentating on the game, and at some point I did hear him say, because Pavlidis was coming back a lot to get the ball and to combine, and he's saying if he keeps doing that, if he keeps coming back, he's not gonna have the stamina to be up there when the ball is placed for him, or even a clear head of not being fatigued to be able to put a ball away. And I mean that's a shout, right? That's a shout. I don't know how much of that is true, but certainly a guy that's working a lot and not being in the best of forms in terms of touch wide and technique. At some point, your fatigue also sets in terms of the way you make decisions, the way you approach balls, even the way you place your feet.
I don't know I'm sorry, I was reading comments. I don't know who you just I mentioned. I know you mentioned
João Tomás.
Okay, but I don't recall the name and I don't recall what you said. But I catching on and jumping on what I heard last, which is fatigue, man. What it really affects the most, guys, is decision making. Yeah. That's really what it affects the most. It's not even the runs. It's none of that. It's about the decision making. You lack that confidence because you can't take the next step or whatnot. And I don't understand what Pavlidis has to do to see some bench, to get a breather. And to me, the only reason why I think he's still playing the minutes that he's playing, even though we've all seen that he's been washed up in terms of fatigue, I think he's playing because isn't he top of the league in goals, or he's right there?
He's in the running. I think he's second place.
He was top until a couple of weeks ago, right, Dave?
Yeah.
Until recently, he was number 2.
Yeah.
With a lot of them being padded by
whatever. I don't care. That's besides the point. But the fact is, he was challenging for it, right, Dave? Up until what's the numbers now?
I'm loading that up. But our squad average height is 182 centimeters there. Arouca has 184.5, so could be why we weren't having any success there. But Pavlidis,
Carlos was right though. It seems like Benfica is always short, and not just against Arouca, but in most games.
Yeah, Pavlidis with 20 and Suarez with 23, so three goals back.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. You got Dal, you got Rafa. I don't think Barredo's an imposing figure. I think Rios is tall. Pavlidis is tall. Sheldrup is not tall. Prestiani is not tall.
What do you call 6 feet tall? I mean, they don't look like they're
No,
six
no,
six
no.
one.
I
That's not
think
tall.
no.
No,
I think is anything 6 feet and above is average and up. I don't think Sheldrup is 6 foot. I don't think Bresciani is 6 foot. Rafa's not six
I don't
foot.
think Dedic. I don't think Dahl. I don't think
Dal-
Barreiro. I
well,
don't
that's what I'm
think
saying. When you start looking
Cristiani.
at
I
those
don't.
all guys,
I mean, you just have Antonio Silva, Araujo, Otamendi,
Rios,
It also includes like
Rios.
Trubin and the keepers too, who
Yeah,
are
Trubin is
Lukebakio.
crazy. Trubin is crazy tall. I'm not sure about Austin. Austin might be like 5'10", 5'11". I don't know, maybe
Yeah,
6 feet. I don't know. I've never
yeah.
been really. Well, I have actually been next
he's
to him.
181 centimeters.
Yeah, okay, Dave.
Which is
Yeah.
more or less the average. Dave,
Yeah.
pergunta aí
So
ao Siri
what's
quanto é que é o
what's
181 centimeters.
Well,
yeah,
5'9".
yeah,
5'9"?
so see?
See, there you go.
Yeah.
So I told you 5'10", 5. I was giving him an extra inch, bro. It matters. Like Carl said, size matters. But yeah, I don't think those guys are Benfica's not. Yeah, they're. I mean, you see it on corners, but guys, you see it on
Yeah.
You see Benfica, which is the other thing that I don't understand, which is when you have a bunch of shorties on the field. I don't get why Benfica plays so much man to man in defending corners and set pieces. When what was the game? It was Porto, right? We had a small guy marking the guy that scored a goal,
Barreiros.
right? Yeah, like I don't understand why we go so much man to man with
Yeah.
that lack of size on the field. And that's the other thing. Benfica, and I've actually had these conversations with Hugo. I feel that Benfica has done a bad job, and not forget that the players have been. For me, not to say suck, right? Because I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to look. We got 8 games, and I'm trying to be nice. So I'll say, for the fact that these guys have not been what we expected them to be, right? Forget that part. The other fact is they're all majority of these guys are not that tall, and I've had a conversation with you, which is Benfica is a team that has aspirations of doing well in the Champions League. Nobody's talking about winning it, but doing well. We're a club that considers we're a fan base that considers our club a big club because we do well in European competition, in particular in the Champions League. And if you go by that, you have to recruit and buy players to go up against the bigger stature teams across European football because in that competition, it's big boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I don't understand why Benfica hasn't gotten to that recruiting of a taller player. I think Porto has done it, Sporting has done it somewhat, right? You have to, unless the player is next level, right? Next level talent wise, then you take the short guy. But if you could get a very similar player that's taller, that helps. I don't know. I just think that's the new football, that the new way of football that we live in today. And I think Benfica could have done a better job in doing that because, like Carlos mentioned, and you've all just verified, it's a short team, and we got a goalie that's like 2 meters, right?
Yeah.
He's close to it. Let's see.
Yeah, he's like 197, maybe 196, which is close.
Carlos agrees with you. He says, I agree completely. Fatigue does slow everything down, especially cognitive processing power. Yeah, I agree with you on that. He also says, our best aerial player is Otamendi, and he's below average at best for central defenders. Yeah, Otamendi's not very tall. He can't get up there, but he's not a super tall dude.
Yeah, but positionally, very smart. I mean, he's a guy with a lot of experience. And timing, it's about timing and stuff like that. He, at least on the defensive side of the ball, he knows how to get up there, and he's got ups. He's this whole thing, white man can't jump. I don't know, he could jump.
Yeah.
Otamendi's only 6 foot, right on the dot. Trubin's 6'5".
You know what happens normally when you're 6 foot, you're really 5'11". They give you an extra inch. The whole Allen Iverson syndrome. You know what I mean? Try to make you taller.
Yeah. Yeah. So after the substitutions, we kind of kept pressing, and it wasn't until late that we got Ivanovic. Prestiani finding Ivanovic on the far corner, and Ivanovic with the one-timer put the ball on the other.
I think he meant the cross to the.
You think so?
I think
I've looked at that. I've looked at it. And I felt the same way.
Celebrate at first. You shocked when it went in. I think, and again, this is a player, and not to be funny or to crack on the player, but this is a player that, as we talked about earlier, right, has definitely got to be struggling for confidence. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you struggling for confidence, you're not one time in that on goal. Again,
Yeah.
maybe he did or not, but to me, again, and look,
The
credit to him, but it could have kind of looked like a pass across. And I got to tip my cap to Prestiani because Prestiani came in the last 15, 20 minutes, was able to lift up his head, pick out a guy in the second post, and
yeah.
play that perfect cross to Pavlidis, where everybody's hooting and hollering about Sheldrup, and I thought Sheldrup was did great to get in the box, but every time somebody would make a near post run, he'd go second post, and then he make a second post run, he'd go near post. It just seemed like a lot of times he needs to pick up his head. He's improved tremendous amount in the last month and a half, and I'm glad that he's heading in the right direction. But still, man, there's still a lot there for the player to grow. And in terms of decision making, it seems like it's a Benfica thing, right? We go from Rafa's of this world to the Luke Macchios, right? To Pavlidis, to what's his name, Ivanovic, to whomever, right? That we have up top, Cristiani, all these guys we have in the attacking third. They're all able to get into the box, and then the final decision is always turns into shit. And I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe Benfica, you know how we play video games and FM and whatever, and you get to practice finishing. Benfica needs to get a finishing coach, man. They need to get somebody in there to just drill finishing on these guys because that last ball, whether it's a pass or shot on goal, is 9 out of 10 times it's
Yeah.
not a very good decision.
But I have seen the replay, and from behind them, it does. It left me scratching my head and thinking, was that a shot or was that a pass? Because it's certainly the way he kind of approached it. It looked like he was just putting it back into the mixer, not
Mhm.
really. It didn't seem like it was something that was like aimed where he angled his body and he was aiming at the far post. It was more like, I'm just going to put this into the mixer and hope that somebody puts a foot on it. I've seen the replay and that's the impression that I got. I don't know what you guys
Yeah, look,
think.
credit. You know what I feel. I feel the same exact way. But credit to him for being there. And that's the one thing about Pavlidis. I mean, Ivanovic. I said a very long time that hey, look, I'm not too thrilled with the player that he is today, right? With the player that we acquired at the time. Obviously, we all hope that if he does stay, that he improves. But the one thing that I won't knock about the player, and I have to be fair, is his work ethic. And and I'm not a fan of those guys that play just because they run all day and they suck with the ball, which is his case for most part. But it
Yeah.
takes a special type of player. It takes a special type of person, I should say, that is going through a very tough time. This is a player that hadn't got off the bench 6 of the last 8 games or something like that, if I'm not mistaken, right? But it takes a special person to stay committed and come in and stay ready and still give it their all. Because we see a lot of prima donnas in today's game where these guys are all babied and they quit at first sight. And if I don't play, I'm not running. And if things don't go my way, I'm pouting and whatnot. And so look, again, I'm repeating myself, but must say I'm not a fan of the player, but I tip my cap because he stays ready. And I always appreciate guys that do that. He's a professional and he's getting paid handsomely, but it still takes that special characteristic in a player and a person to be ready at all times because one of my favorite sayings of all time is chance favors the prepared.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he must believe in that. And so
Yeah.
he's prepared and he did what he had to do. Did I think he intended to score? No. Do I think he's happy as shit that he scored? Absolutely. And I think all of us as Benfica fans, I think we're all ecstatic that he put in the back of the net. And
Yeah.
for the fans of Ivanovic, I'm pretty sure they're all ecstatic. So
Yeah. No, it was good. And like Chris said, I think all of us Benfiquistas were happy, right? Because it's been so frustrating and not being able to claw a result when you had so much possession, even though it wasn't all the chances that you were supposed to create and you didn't with all that possession. And it's same old Benfica, and you're watching this team and you're getting frustrated, and it's going down to the end, and it's just to have a little bit of a break at the end of the game and get a score that gives you the 3 points, especially in a week where Sporting postponed their game and we're able to tie them up in points, albeit with them with one less game. It's still important, right? It's still important to continue, and we talk about here about how Sporting and Porto are playing games in Europe. They still have another game between themselves. Also, that's going to be another midweek game for the Taça de Portugal second leg, and we're hoping that both of them can drop points so we could take advantage. And I think that first place might be out of reach, but certainly you want to be able to have a chance to qualify for next year's Champions League with a second round, with a second place spot, right? So I think that is the thing that's accessible for us, and for us to be able to get the 3 points and to stick to Sporting. I think it's important. I mean, had we lost this game and then Sporting has a game on us that they could have gotten 3 points, and now it makes a difference to 6 points. I mean, with not a lot of games to play, so I thought it was beneficial. And now we come back to Estádio da Luz and we play Vitória. But Dave, stats.
Yeah, 2 goals from guys that haven't necessarily been on the score sheet as of late. Rios with his first goal in Portuguese league competition this season, and his first goal since December 17th against Ferenc, which came in the Taça.
Wait, that's the first goal he scored in the Campeonato?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. First. He scored in the Champions League, I think, right?
No, I've seen him score goals. I just didn't. I thought he scored in the Campeonato already. Wow, that's. I wasn't even aware
of
that.
In the qualifiers.
Did he just earn a nomination for Manco King? Chris, is that
no? At least he plays. The other guy doesn't even play, so the other guy is in the front runner.
Okay. And speaking of which, Ivanovic also returned to the score sheet also since December 17th. His last goal came against Ferenc in the Taça, and his first goal in the Campeonato since playing Arouca all the way back in October 25th. So I guess he's the clubhouse leader for the Manco King.
He's trying to get to play Arouca every week then. He wants Arouca on the schedule every other week.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because Arouca they got beat up by the Três Grandes in the first round, and in the second round they've taken all 3 teams to the last instances of the game. If you guys recall, a few weeks back they had Porto tied up. They had Porto tied up or to the very last minutes, and then Porto had that phantom penalty and they ended up winning 3-1, but I think they were tied up going into the last 2-3 minutes of the game, and then it opened up as a result of that penalty. But Arouca has done well in the second half in terms of the goals that they've allowed, and certainly put up a fight against the Três Grandes. Diogo was saying here, we have a hard time getting Mancos at this height. You trust these guys to find better and taller Mancos? Is a good shout. Carlos is saying, we really miss Auschnitz. We look so different without him. Chris, can you tell the difference of Benfica with and without Auschnitz?
Yeah, of course. I think Benfica, over the last few months, both Auschnitz and Sheldrup, they decided to play this season. And they've definitely improved. You could tell by not just their performances, but also the teams and the results and whatnot. It's a totally different tandem when you have Alcinas and what's his name, Barreiro in the middle. Even though Barreiro, again, I think Benfica has a bunch of players that are nice rotation pieces, nice squad players. But the problem is that there's too many of these squad players as starters at Benfica, and then people wonder why we're not getting the results. But to bring it back to Auschwitz, yes, I think Benfica against Porto with Auschwitz and Barreiro in the midfield, and that goes just to show our luck that he got injured a week prior. Had those 2 guys played, I think it might have been a little bit different game, because those 2 guys, for some reason, they seem to gel together. And Benfica's a totally different team defensively, with those two guys on the field.
Yeah. Up next, we have Vitória de Guimarães. Vitória will come to Estádio Luz on Saturday at 6 p.m. local. And as of Saturday, we're still on a 4-hour difference here to the east coast of the United States. Time does go forward in Portugal this Sunday night or Sunday early morning. Dave, what's Vitória Guimarães up to this year?
They're currently ninth with 32 points from 9 wins, 5 draws, 12 defeats. But coming in to this match, not in form, only 1 win out of their last 5. 1 win, 1 draw, and 3 defeats. Historically, 129 wins, 31 draws, 25 defeats. But for a team that is in modern day considered one of the top 5 in Portuguese football here, they're not having the best of seasons.
Didn't they just fire their coach again, Dave?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They just fired Vitor Pinto, a coach that just won them the Taça da Liga trophy. And yeah,
but their record after the Taça da Liga hasn't been too well. It's 2 wins out of 9 after the Taça da Liga. So
they blew their load, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the Taça da Liga, but certainly, yeah, another firing. I think an interim coach has taken over, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, Vitória comes to Estádio Luz not in the best of forms. And they're actually, I think that away they have scored. They're the 4th worst team in the scoring column when playing away from the Dom Afonso Henriques. So not a very productive team away from the Dom Afonso Henriques. But it'll be an interesting match. The return of Nelson Oliveira is always interesting. It's always fun. And Guimarães is a team that plays hard against the big clubs. So we'll see. And it's always a motivation to play at Estádio Luz, as you can imagine. What else we got? Oh, I'll be remiss to not to mention that Benfica Juniors did make the Final Four of the Youth UEFA Champions League this afternoon by beating Inter.
You guys are sitting down?
Go.
I watched that game today.
You did? There must have not been anything on TV.
Nope, nothing.
There was no curling.
There was Braga Ferenbacros afterwards. But I did watch the game. I did watch the game, and there's one player in particular that I was very impressed with, and that was...
Who, Chris?
I don't think it'd be shocking to anyone, but that was Benjaki. I thought he was terrific.
Benjaki, yeah. I thought it was
the best
too.
player on the field. And there's a kid that looks identical from behind and whatever, identical to Rafael Leão, and to my shock, he's Irish.
So, yeah. He's the kid that has the cross for one of the goals.
I
think second
whatever.
goal.
That dude, I could have sworn that was Rafael Leão. When I found out he was Irish, I was like, "What the?"
Yeah, so, yeah. He's Irish. He's got dreadlocks.
I remember. Yes, yeah, really good player, really good player. But yeah, the player that to me was the standout was by far Benjaki. Yeah. And then the other guys were okay, whatever. But Benjaki was, you could tell.
How did Anizu do?
He was all right. Nothing special. In today's game, he had a couple chances, but nothing. Again, there was only one guy to me that stood out, and again, he's standing out against other 19-year-olds. But you could tell he was at another level, and every time he touched the ball, he was dangerous. He made things happen. I believe he had 2 assists in the game. Just a solid player. Kid that has a bright future. But let's pump the brakes. Let's not rush things. Let's not put any extra pressure on the player. Let him develop. I had a conversation with someone earlier today that mentioned to me a few years back, man, every year we had ballers from Lindelof to Ruben Diaz to freaking João Felix to this one to that one, Renato Sanchez and whatnot. Every year we had ballers getting promoted and making it. And I see, there's a huge difference from then and what we see now, which is now I feel like there's this rush to promote kids into the main squad because there's this pressure from the fan base and whatnot. And back in the days, Alfredo, you and I happened to be at one of the games, and we got to speak in a Helder and whatnot. And the thing they told us at the time was, they had a game plan for all these kids, which was, they had to play. I forget what the number, 80
80.
games,
80.
yeah, but it
Yeah.
might have been yeah, okay. They had to play 80 games before they were deemed ready to go to the next level. And now and this was on the B team, which for those of you that don't know, the B team plays in the Portuguese second division. So
Yeah.
they're playing against men that are trying to make a living and put food on their table for their families and kids. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And these are men that are going in there with intentions, bad intentions, good intentions, and playing against kids. And these kids developed, and so when they got up to the main squad, it wasn't that big of a jump. Where now I feel like there's a lot of these kids with a lot of promise, that haven't really developed yet, haven't played against men. And now again, as I say often on here, age is just a number because when you're special, right? You're going to play regardless of if you played 80 games before, or if you played none. If you're special, you're special. But unfortunately, there's not very many special kids on this Benfica team. And I'm talking about at the 19 or at the U19s or the B team. So Benjaki might be close, but even he needs to play as much as possible. Benfica is well served at right back now with Bob being back from injury and Dedic. And now that doesn't mean that Benjaki shouldn't maybe get some minutes here and there because they have to develop at the end of the day. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that to me, there's a huge difference between the kids now and the kids back in the days, and it's completely tied into the fact that they were able to play and develop against men, where now everybody's being rushed up to the team.
Yeah. Just gonna read some comments here. Diogo Reis says, anyone else but hurt about us having to play a league game between the Real Madrid fixtures and Sporting didn't. I don't know. Maybe did we ask if we could push that game? I don't know.
We got a game postponed at the beginning of the season when we were
We
trying to
did.
qualify for the Champions League. So
We did
there
ask.
is some precedence of the league doing it. It's just a matter of when they want to do it, and I guess having both clubs agree. But
Yeah.
But like I told Hugo today, is it you want to do it, or I said, do we know that if do we know if Benfica asked? Do any of us know if Benfica asked? We know Sporting did
We
because
don't.
they got approved. Exactly. So
We
that's
don't
what I'm
know.
saying.
But
so
we already had
we're
asked
trying to-
for a postponement in the beginning of the season. The first, if you guys recall, the first game of the season, we didn't play that until later.
yep.
So maybe you get one per season. But we don't know if it was
listen,
asked.
That's fair, but I'm just saying we don't know. And look, it looks again. It's the whole coincidence stuff that we talk about, right? Benfica play Real Madrid. They didn't get any games delayed or whatnot, postponed, and here we are seeing sport. And so, as much as I want to criticize and what I have to be fair as well, it's clear that Sporting asked. Do we know if Benfica asked? And so, before we start throwing stones and whatnot,
Yeah.
we have to think about for a second. And maybe I'm the one that's speaking offline, but
Yeah.
we just
think-
can't. I don't know if they did. or not.
I think it's a big nothing burger. Like they're gonna have to eventually play the game and
The Tondela game, yeah.
the Tondela game, and if I hope Sporting goes on a long run and they get knocked out right at the semi-final mark because they're gonna have to play these games eventually, and they can't
Yeah.
just continue postponing the games here. So
Yeah.
Look,
big
I'm
long,
actually
They
big
got
long
a
run for
difficult game
Sporting.
against Braga this weekend.
no. That's Porto.
No, that's Porto.
That's Porto. Sorry.
Yeah. Listen. I'll tell you this much. I'm a believer that the Portuguese league should do everything they can to help out Portuguese clubs. This is not the EPL, okay, where they have 38 guys under contract that all cost $58 million, right? This is the Portuguese league. The Portuguese league being in a fight to secure that sixth spot, which they finally have, right? But it took them a little longer than we all would have liked and hoped. But the league should help the Portuguese teams and give them some time off. Why not? Other leagues do it. Why can't we do it? You know what I mean? But the thing is, they have to do it for all, not just for one or the other whenever they feel like. So this goes for Braga. Any teams playing in the conference league or whatever, I believe that the league should help out. And so I'm not really against this. You know what I mean? I'm not upset about this whole situation.
Yeah.
But Diogo makes a good point, and I'll read Amon's views right after. But Diogo says, sure, but at the beginning of the year, we were coming off that stupid Club World Cup. Yeah, I mean, again,
yeah, that's a good point.
It's a great
That's
shout.
Yeah.
It's a great shout. But we don't know what's going on behind the walls over there at the wherever the hell the league is and whatnot. But yeah, they didn't do it at the beginning of the year, so now it looks bad for everybody else. But I believe that they should try to do the best to suit every team. Amancio Cordeiro says, "Hey boys, still hopeful we can get second place. Hopefully, Sporting's Champions League run affects their league performances." Yeah, I mean, it might just be another 2 weeks, bro, and then it'll be over soon.
Yeah.
They are playing Arsenal.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all hope. Listen, to me, Champions League, no Champions League. I wanted to drop every point they can. I'm in Porto, so nothing changes for me. But yeah,
Just gonna read a couple comments here. Carlos Amaro says Auschwitz is the difference maker. Barreiro is more a product of Auschwitz, as is everyone. Auschwitz makes those around him better. Let's put Ivanovic next to Auschwitz then. Carlos didn't say that. I'm saying that. And Diogo Reis says, you could really see how loved by everyone at the club Auschwitz is from watching the gala. Yeah, the gala took place last night. And I think Auschwitz won for best footballer of the year. I didn't watch it. I did see some clips.
Best men's footballer. Sheldrup won best young player. Yes.
Carlos saying I got a good laugh at Auschwitz Portuguese A for effort.
So look at that gala, guys. Look at the results of that gala, and then if you're ever in the toilet,
Christian.
just sitting there thinking about what's happened to this club, just go back to that, and then you'll know what's happened to this club. You know what I'm saying? The quality, man. It's quality.
Não sejas mau.
Eu sou honesto, bro. Again, listen, I often come on here and I use the term, you're the tallest midget in the circus. Doesn't make you a giant. You know what I mean? Doesn't make you tall. You just, and so, Austin is the tallest midget in the circus. That's all it is. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
I mean, this year, who's really stood out? I mean, this has been one of the most depressing years we've had in a long time. I mean, our only guy that scores, and I don't know how he scored 20 goals, but it seems like he hasn't scored in 6 months, right? Nobody else has got goals after that. It's just been a very down year, man, from performances, from everyone, from the goalie to right. Who is the guy to me, and I know you guys, Carlos, and you guys in the chat would disagree with me because it seems like you've all made up your mind and you all have your superhero made up, right? But to me, it's going to sound crazy to you guys, but to me, the most consistent player Benfica's had all year is a guy that none of you guys will even come up with. You probably guess 8 guys before you get to him. And so we'll play that game. And if you guys guess it, then I'll look stupid. But Alfredo and Dave, go ahead. Guess the guy I think has been the most consistent player on this Benfica squad.
The guy that's been the most consistent?
Yes, all year long.
Wow, that's a tough one. The most consistent, I'd say the most consistent, I would have to say... Yes. Follow this. I think Auschwitz has been pretty consistent.
Dave?
You could make the case for Barreiro or also for Dahl, too.
Dahl, good job, Dave. Listen, Auschwitz he's
had some bad games, Dahl, dude.
No, Dahl has been nothing great, nothing bad. He's just always been the same blasé. That's it. That's consistent. That's what consistency is. Right? It's not a guy that has a great game and then disappears. He's been, even when he's had poor games, it isn't too far from what he does normally. So to me, that's consistency. Ausnes was gone for the first 3 months of the season, or more, or longer, because Austin's only been around for the last 2 months of the season. Even the biggest Austin fans in the chat will tell you he's been only around. He started playing really well last 2 months of the season because at one point, you know, if he's playing on the left, if he's playing on the right, if he's playing in the center.
While
Again,
Bahrain and Che were in the middle, but Auschwitz wasn't that big of a factor on the team.
Exactly. So that's not consistent. The guy that's played all year long, right? Now, when I say he's been the most consistent, doesn't mean that he's been phenomenal. It doesn't mean he's been great. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's had the least amount of bad games compared to everyone else.
He's the guy that, and again, he hasn't had tremendous games neither. He's just Mr. Solid. He does what he does. That little train that go choo choo choo. You can do it. You can do it. Choo choo. That's him. You know what I mean? And so
Carlos Amaro says Trubin, Diogo Reis says Otamendi. Diogo Reis also says consistently average just makes you another Joe.
Otamendi's not been consistent. I love Otamendi.
No, I think those guys are joking, obviously, dude. Come on.
Okay. I don't know, man.
Trubin has not been consistent either. Otamendi's been bad.
No, I mean,
there's games that he's cost us.
I guess there's the saying, right? Trubin has been consistently inconsistent.
Yes,
you know what
there
I mean?
you go.
Yeah, he's been consistently inconsistent. And so I just think that the team has, I don't know, man. There's a reason why we're in third place. There's a reason why this is a down year, right? And I know we've had some down years over the last 4-5 years, and you know who's been the best player on most of those teams for the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's the same guy that's still here. And so I've already said 50,000 times, I don't dislike the player. I like the player. You know, but I don't know, man. I feel like this is one of those buy, keep, sell moments. But yeah,
all right, fellas.
it just answers the question of why.
Let's get out of here. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming. If you weren't watching the continue.
When's the next Benfica game? When do we play? Say that, Alfredo. I don't even know.
Saturday.
Against Vitoria, right?
Vitoria.
What time, Dave? What time?
It's going to be
2 o'clock Eastern.
2 o'clock Eastern.
Okay, so remember, it's only 4 hours difference right now. It's not 5 hour difference.
Yeah, that's why we're saying 2 o'clock. It's 6 p.m. in Portugal.
6 p.m. in Portugal.
All right, take care, y'all. See you again next week. Later.